Tony Stark consults with Jen Walters, and she suggests he comply with Feilong's cease and desist, since he now owns the technology that Tony uses in his armor. Jen toys with the idea that Tony could operate out of a foreign nation, namely the mutant country of Krakoa, and that she could talk to people at the Hellfire Gala later in the day. Tony leaves Jen's office dejectedly, impelling himself to come to terms with the fact that Feilong has won. The Stark Sentinels have been deployed and patrol the city, much to the delight of regular citizens. Having returned to Bronson's cabs, Tony is packing up the Model 70 armor to turn it over to Feilong. He has sold the cab stand at a loss and is preparing to go underground, since he still intends to serve on the Avengers. The suit's helmet suddenly projects the news on the Avengers' frequency that Captain Krakoa has attacked the capital. Tony suits up for one last ride with the armor. On his way to respond to the emergency alongside the rest of the Avengers, who have left the Hellfire Gala to do so, Iron Man receives another alert. Captain America is reporting a distress call from the Brooklyn Bridge. Tony changes course, but arrives at the bridge to find Steve already having been assisted by Rogue. The three take off to Washington, D.C. Hours later, Iron Man returns to New York, where he spots a Stark Sentinel on the air attacking an office building, alleging an Interpol arrest warrant. Inside are Emma Frost and Wilson Fisk, singing some kind of legal document. Tony sneaks up under the Sentinel and disables its propulsion with sludge, causing it to crash into the ground. He confronts Emma about her clandestine dealings, but she snaps at him and berates Tony because the Stark Sentinels have attacked the Hellfire Gala, catching Tony unaware of that development. Their argument is interrupted when another Sentinel swats Tony into a truck on the ground and steps on it, causing an explosion. Kingpin flees, but Emma stays behind. She assumes her diamond form as she takes a stand against Feilong. He taunts her through the Stark Sentinels about Mutantkid's orchestrated downfall, and orders the robots to kill both of them. Emma is thrown into the ground, where she reconvenes with Iron Man. He flies her to a subway entrance so she can escape, but when he turns around, he's surprised to see no Sentinels. Tony suddenly finds himself crushed in the middle of a destructive Sentinel fist bump, the robots having used their limited stealth mode to ambush him on both flanks. Frost becomes aware of the attack telepathically, and turns around to assist Tony as he lies on the ground in a catatonic state, calling for Emma's help in his thoughts. Emma uses her powers to enter Stark's mind, projecting herself into his mindscape, a desolate, snow-covered alleyway where Tony is sitting, holding his knees and surrounded by a trail of empty bottles. Emma takes Tony's hand, signaling her taking over his body. She manages to fly Tony out of the way of a repulsor blast from a Sentinel, but the robots spot Emma nearby. In his midscape, Tony reaches into the snow, plucks the helmet of his Model 1 armor from under it, and wakes up. One of the Sentinels grabs Emma and fastens an inhibitor collar around her neck. Tony steps out of his damaged armor and drops to his knees, offering the suit to Feilong in exchange for Emma's life. The Sentinel drops Emma back on the ground, and she banters with Tony, purporting that she saved Stark out of convenience. On his lair, Feilong orders the Sentinels to arrest both, with the intention to torture them. Nonchalantly chalking it up to not wanting to be indebted to her, Tony gestures at his armor to encase Emma, much to her shock. He forces her to fly away, slipping past the grasp of the Stark Sentinels, infuriating Feilong. A bloodied Tony dares Feilong to kill him openly in the street.